This is a total accident. That might happen again. Can't say it won't, because that's it really, when I read it really quick, that's what it says. Alright, plane versus a Terran. Dun, dun. So right now the Terran usually is making a barracks right here. We have to go up there in a little bit.
Justice be done. Antara Tassadam.
Gotta get our workers. Take this to an expansion. We're gonna get an adept so we can scout what's going on. We're gonna make a cannon over here. We're gonna make a stalker so we can recall it back home if we need for a liberator.
The firstborn shall persevere.
Now we're gonna go check what's going on.
We serve with pride.
We embrace the glory of battle.
Towards a liar. We
Base is under attack. systems as channel the light dividing. Discuss.
Met the enemy. Let your will.
Oh, I went the wrong way. Shit. Mm.
Base is under attack. It shall be done.
here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellent.
Hey, yo.
Hey, what's going on, Han? Try it.
Highlight for hire. Storm is brewing. Forward to victory.
Okay.
We embrace the glory of battle. We highlight for hire. I am the voice you require. State that you require. I am the heart of darkness. Vengeance is we are one with state thy bid. I am he. Let our enemy know our fury. Cold is the voice. You require my skills. I am the voice. I am here in the shadows.
Got him. Let's go back. Oh man. So this was a little different than the other ones. Usually this one's a little more aggressive. This particular Terran player was a little more aggressive than your usual. This bud's for you. I'm gonna go get a bud after this. Yeah, so we start off with a cannon rush containment. He doesn't know if Protoss, Zerg, or Terran. So we just wait a little bit so it doesn't look like a cannon rush potential. If you wait a little bit, it's harder to read, but you don't want to wait too long because by the time it's almost done, an SCV will normally go down and make a command center or be here to make a command center. You don't want that SCV to go down and do that, so you put the probe up and harass the SCV, and that triggers the response to send another SCV. And so instead of doing the bottom command center right away, the SCV goes and takes care of the probe first, and that delays the command center a little bit. And because it's delayed, they don't scout this part right away, and they're getting distracted by the probe. So the probe is the one doing a lot of the harassing right now. It's doing, hey, you have to deal with the problem of getting that SCV healed, and then you got to send another SCV to repair this to finish, but you also sent somebody else for the probe, so you got to send like 2 more. So there you go. That one's the repair. This one's the one that keeps protecting the other one from getting killed, so that this one just stop it, and then during that time, boom, you hit the cannons in the gateway, and that locks it in. So this is a little distraction that allows you to go this phase right here. The gateway right here is placed so that the SCVs can't do any damage to it. So even if they go down now, there's not enough space to really do enough for these cannons to go down. So they're going to be just killing the shield, but the shield will regenerate as time goes. so that doesn't really hurt you as much as you would think. Gotta make sure your probes don't die. If one dies, send another, but make sure both don't die. At least, you know, because you need something for the high ground vision, or else the other one could get there, but it's gonna take a little while, and your cannons either might go up barely, or one might get taken out, and then you can save the other, but then it weakens you a little bit, because time is everything. Pylon blocking this part, they forget to open up the supply depot because they usually don't expect that to happen. So that's why I blocked it for vision and because of the setup. So the SCVs went this way when they needed to go here. Take some extra shots, you know. I tried getting the zaps, but that's two survivors. This pylon is so that you don't get your probe sniped, because for one, we don't have another probe, and because we don't have another probe, we don't want to lose this one. This is the one that's going to make a pylon at a Stargate. So this pylon is there for that body block for a little bit till the Zealot comes. Notice how the gateway is almost finished. Now that the gateway is finished, the Zealot comes out, and guess who gets the vision from there? The Zealot. So now the Zealot's like, hey, now this right here could have been a little closer, and if you get a Marauder, Marauders have a better range, so sometimes a Marauder in a bunker really gets the job done in regards to do enough damage to push it away a little bit. So think about that if you do happen to get like a tech lab or so on the barracks, to get, instead of Marine, get a Marauder and learn your distances, learn how far you need the bunker. Usually you don't have to build it where it's close to the cannons in this case, because if you have it like right here, and the Marauder can actually shoot that Zealot from right there, so they got longer range. It's because of the Marauder play that I go into Adept, because they are going to eliminate me from getting the vision by having range and having a bunker there. I need to get more my vision as a Protoss player, so the way I do it is with the Adept. So the Adept is going to allow me to shade up there and get those extra dimes from getting it killed because I have no vision. The other thing is the first shade goes in and checks the tech. What is it? What are they doing? I don't, you know, and there's a lot of movement. I'm like, okay, there's Marines there. There's two barracks. I see a tech lab being upgraded. So then I'm like, okay, this looks like a push. This looks like a drop push, a possible drop push, because there's no aggression right now, and there's no tank. And because there's no tank so early, and there's no early aggression with the Cyclone or anything, what is it? Then it's going to be a drop, potentially. Or a Liberator or a Banshee. Those are the things that you have to watch out for, because that's what they could do. But you can tell because of how aggressive or non-aggressive they are. Because I do this often, I can tell when a player is doing something a little different by the amount of aggression they place on you. Kind of like a Zerg player, when they don't put aggression, you could think possible mutas. Or if you see a lot of Lings, then you're like, oh, possible mutas, because that's where the gas might be going. So you have higher chances of having your spider sense tinkle. Now there goes the push out. Now I'm not able to get the high ground with the Zealot. The Zealot has to back off. But I have the Adept. And the Adept is the one giving me that extra range, just to take care of the time. Everything's about time. The two battery shields, they're to heal up the cannons so that they could deal with the tank shots. Because they could deal with the tank shots a lot better if they're getting healed. Because it's all about time. And I'm trying to get my void rate, right? So as long as I keep these active while they're getting shot, and my void rate comes to take care of the tank, I can keep the cannons. So that's the power of the two battery shields here. Now notice that they're trying to drain the energy with the marine shots, because I don't have high ground vision, because the tanks are keeping everything away. That's what the Adept is again, remember? So there goes the Adept. He has to back off because now the cannons are taking out the Marines. But there goes the void rate. The void rate comes in and starts nibbling on the tank. Now there's no more pressure, at least for a little while. There's not much pressure right now. There's gonna be Vikings. There's gonna be potential drops. When I saw this, I was like, okay, medevac. It's probably either medevac or a Viking. But with all those Marines, I'm assuming medevac. And if with medevac, it's a medevac drop. So what am I doing at home? At home, I set up a pylon and a cannon, and then I made a nexus.
Well, Jack, here's the deal. I'm the best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up.
Hey, what up, mad scientist?
Throw
Hey.
them probes, girl.
Hey, thank you so much. Throw it in, pros. Yeah, I've been asking Bits Please to tell me when you guys want to do some duels, some dirty ladder. Yeah, he's here every once in a while. I guess because I play more Terran, so it's good for the soul. So I'm glad he's enjoying the content. Thank you so much, man. But yeah, let me know. Hey, what up, Goldie, for the dub? You didn't really harass his mineral line. He could have gotten doors. Yeah, you can get doors. Exactly. I've played versus doors. Doors are really good against like Tempest. And their void raids aren't going to do much. I mean, that's why I don't go Vikings. I don't go void raids too much because the Vikings and the Cyclones counter the void raids. So you got the Vikings and Cyclones that counter the void raids. And then the Tempest stay in range of the cannons and the battery shields to deal with the Vikings. But then, and the Cyclones as well. And then the tanks as well. So you got those little bunches. But then you got the door. How do you deal with the door? So the reason why I go for an expansion and I transition right here, the transition here is the counter to what I face down here. So if a player decides to go into Thor mode, what I've learned to do is I go for a double immortal, double robo play. So here I'll make pylon, get a couple robos, and start going into immortals, and then I get disruptors afterwards because the immortals keep the Thors there, and then the disruptors throw the bombs. Because I've learned how to strategize with disruptors to counter the Thors. They're really good, but you gotta have like some type of buffer. So we use the immortal disruptor play. And so that play style is not used often because they don't normally go Thors. But the ones that do go Thors, that's the playbook. You go for the double robo, you get immortals, and then you get some balls. And you throw them balls at those big tanks of Thors. Yeah. What would you do if the Terran went for a nuke to kill the cannons? I've been nuked before. I've been nuked. When it's cause and effect. You know, it's cause and effect. Whenever you do something different, that has a price. The nuke has a price. So when they nuke, they usually don't have the right army in itself to just push out. They're going to be able to nuke a decent, but they're not going to be fully nuking everything. And so I've been like triple nuked before, like nuked constantly in those areas. And I've learned that Terran players that do have nuke, it is expensive to go that route, but it is achievable. But there has to be some extra play with it because it's not exactly everything. You kind of like, you give some, it's a give and take. So it definitely makes the game interesting. I've been nuked before there, and that's why I keep my distance. Like if you look at this right here, I have cannons right here, and then I have like different zones, and my zone's spread out. So you can't really nuke a really good spot just right off the bat, because for one, the cannons are gonna give you out. So my Tempest will kill the nuke if it's too close, but if it's not close enough, then they'll get like a big part of it, but not the whole thing. And because they're still like in that back and forth, I need to break out. There's some play on both sides. It makes the game interesting for sure. Just like the Thors. I think the nuke play and the Thor play are two that I don't see often, but when I do, they're very interesting to get nuked. You know, it's like sometimes you don't expect it. Like, what was that? Did I just get nuked? So it's a, yeah, definitely a nice road that I like to go towards, but it's hard to find those players. When you do, though, you enjoy them. Just like when you find the Raven players, the ones that do mass Ravens, it's nice to play those players. Or, you know, those different builds. That's what I love about creativity. Creativity allows you to, like, perfect some of the things that you enjoy to do, that make you who you are in the game, your style, your play, your tactics. You're defining yourself. You're creating your own, style and your own, persona in the game. And when you do, and other players do, and they clash together, it makes some exciting games because both of you guys aren't expecting exactly the weirdness, but both of you understand how it is to get where you are. So you play with you play what you got and start letting your brain, enjoy what it needs to figure out what you need to do step by step through all the chaos, all the decisions you have to make. That's the beauty about StarCraft. All the decisions are always different, and the more you make them different, makes it more enjoyable because it's not a game that you passed over and over again and it's repetitive. It's a game where the more you have to make decisions, and they're different than your usual decisions, the more enjoyable the game gets, the more intense it gets, and the more you feel like, wow, that was a roller coaster. Didn't expect any of that. So yeah, just enjoy the game. The Mass Widow Mine players. Oh yeah, the Mass Widow Mine player. I played a Mass Widow. I got the sprinkles, the Widow Mine sprinkle players. I played one yesterday. Started sprinkling Widow Mines everywhere, but I was like, I had my little Thor and my little Raven following everywhere. My little Thor was just killing every. I was like, oh, there goes another one. This is my sacrifice. I was like, you gotta do it for the team, buddy. You might get hit a couple times, but the Raven is following you. So yeah, so that was I kind of did that. It's like you find a way. You're like, okay, how do I solve that problem? And that's not the only way, but that's a way. So you kind of just dealt with some problems. You gotta figure it out. 14 pylon, 15 forge cannon. Yeah. It's a good decision. I like that branch too. It's a good branch. Okay, so we're here, right? We took out the tank. And on our side, we're making a battery shield. Oh no, that was not the battery shield. That's fleet beacon and then the battery shield. But we recalled. We recalled. We don't recall all of them, but we do recall. And there's two reasons why we recall early. I don't have to recall that early, but in this particular style, two benefits. When you recall early, that means that for one, the mineral line, how would I say, the mineral line is not evenly saturated, so that means that you can hotkey both nexuses and pump probes and not worry about one or the other being oversaturated. It's going to take a little while for oversaturated in a sense where it's like, okay, because this one's already going to mine out too. These mineral patches are almost gone. They're like 3 minutes from being gone. So you don't have much anyways over here, but you don't want to do it too early because if they scan and go, oh, what's he doing? And they scan and they only see a couple probes, then they know you have another base. So there's this sense of when to do it and when not to do it for the sake of if they scan, they'll identify, oh, I think he has another base. There's only like 7 probes in his middle line. You got him at the right time. So I usually don't do it until after a scan or unless I feel like they're going to go for a drop. And because they were doing what they were doing here with the marine play and everything and not very much tanks early on, I'm like, yeah, possible drop. And I've been, and so that's where I kind of go, okay, let me recall my probes first, because if he drops and then he sees and I run, I can clump, right? So he drops, I get my probes and I run like a clump. And when you run as a clump, they can't really spot all the probes. They just know that they ran. So they can't really identify that there's a lot of probes or missing probes. And that kind of gives it like a little, like, I don't have a base still. I'm on one base. So there's those two things. If they drop right here and you run, they can't really count them very good. But if they scan you, they're going to be like, he's going for a second base somewhere. Let me go, look around. Maybe get a Liberator or something and scout and try to siege that or something. So that happens sometimes. So in this case, because I assumed drops, I didn't expect a scan. I went for a recall early so that I don't get like too much of my probes not mining, and I don't want to recall in front of them. I don't want to recall in front of them because that's gonna just say, hey, I got another base. So everything's about discreet, being discreet. So here comes a drop. And then here I'm scouting, right? This is giving me more intel. I'm like, this player's not, I don't see an army, I don't see nothing. And I, I kind of assumed that, but my recall happened already, right? So I was cooldown. I was on cooldown, and I was being more safe here. So I had to actually send my zealots and everything over there. And that's the part where you're still on one base, right? You're still on a good saturated base. So whatever happens here at this point, if you have to stall, you have to stall. If you have to play dead, you play dead. Whatever you do in this part, it's already been done in most cases regarding him hitting you and killing your workers. Whether it be a Banshee play or a Liberator play and you have to move your workers and not mine. This play, you play dead a bit and you just kind of even the score again by having a base saturated. So there's like door number 1, door number 2. They both have like a method to it. So here I'm getting battle shield because I'm like, oh shoot, he's coming. Now here I'm kind of just like making sure he doesn't heal it completely. At the same time, he's kind of just like, oh yeah, he's not mining. He's turning on that mining clock. He's like, yep, that's time that I'm getting benefits from him. He's not mining and I am. And I needed to start mining anyways. With the battery shield, I could. With this part right here, I need him to be whittled and assume that I'm just like in a helpless state. While on the other side, I'm right here, trying to gather. Gotta get the medevac first. The cannons in the back, the tanks can't reach back here. They can only take this out. So there's 2 sections. There's the early game section and the late game section. The late game section, you have this whole thing, and if it gets to doors, sometimes it becomes this whole thing. When it comes to doors, you start getting all your cannons and all that and batteries, and get your Tempest start doing like backwards pushes. They start pushing, back, push, back, and you start going back here. Once you get to about this stage, that's when your immortals start kicking in and your disruptors start kicking in. But they will push you back. Doors will push you back. They're heavy. So but you're able to like stall that way. And then during that time, you get your immortals. They come down and they meet it right here. The battle usually comes out right here in this kind of play. So the Tempest takes the role of this next chapter, right? So this part, the Tempest is here. You can't break it yet because there's cannons and battery shields, and you can't siege up. That's the reason why it's okay to send your Void Raids and your Zealot and your Adept over to your base. Normally it's with the recall. Normally you just recall those because they don't normally drop, and you're dealing with like a tank sieging or cyclones. But whenever there's not of that situation, I always recommend recalling the pros first versus setting the zealots. But if you have to send them early, you could just send them right after the Tempest comes out. Once the Tempest comes out, you can send your Void Raids and your Stalkers to go scout or defend your base. The Void Raid is for the Liberator. So if they go for a Liberator zone, you recall the Void Raid and that'll take out the Liberator. The Stalkers are for pretty much the scouting. So with the Stalker, you scout the bottom bases, the 2, 3rd, and 4th. That way, if they float over there, you can get them from floating over. Eventually, when you have enough defense right here, your probe can go over and make pylons right there so that you constantly know that there's nobody there. Got an angle to kill that that tank. The tank is everything for them. You see how I'm going this way? So I put my pylon here so that I can go this direction if I need to. You never know, but you always have to like have that backup plan. So my backup plan on this one was, okay, just in case if I have to, I'm gonna move my cannons towards this direction, and then the Tempest will just kind of keep helping until they die. You don't go mass Tempest. You only get up to 4 Tempest and an Oracle, because 4 Tempest and an Oracle can one-shot a Cyclone and I believe a Viking. So that's all you want to get: 4 Tempest and an Oracle. The rest of it goes into your transition, and then that way they create an army or whatever to counter Tempest, but they're not creating anything to counter what you would transition to, because the Tempest is the problem at the time. And so you got the Revelation that could allow you to like just nibble on their army, or you got the Stasis Wards, so that if they get very heavy and just want to just charge in, you got the Stasis Wards that will cause them to just get stasis, then divide and conquer, which they'll fall back sometimes because they just lost half their army in a stasis. They're like, oh shoot, I don't have that army, I'm losing my other one, and I don't have the punch that I had. So you only want to get like 4 Tempest and an Oracle. There goes my Stalkers doing the rounds. My Stalker was about to go check here and here. Luckily it found another drop that was going on. I recalled, but I recalled the wrong place. That's the thing about having a hotkey like that. So I gotta remember to do it the old-fashioned way, like I used to. Cause it's a I don't know which one. It's a maybe this one, maybe that one. I forgot all about that. I was like, oh shit. Okay, we got this part. Not that bad. Went for the medevac. Always go for the medevac. You don't have enough DPS for Void Ray to take this out because of the healing. So, medevac. So now the pylon. Remember I told you about the pylon? Do the probe. Once it gets enough static, we'll make the pylons. So after the drop, I said, you know what? My Stalker's not over here anymore, because the Stalker had to go. Now I'm going to have to use the pylon trick, because I need something over there constantly checking, and I can't use the probe because the probe has to come back over here to make more battery shields and cannons. So we found the command center. So we're like, okay, cool. It's time to start harassing. So I pushed more right here just to get a little taste. I'm like, are you away? Are you not here? And you could tell, because if you keep hitting them for a while, they'll come out and attack it. So you have to pull back. If you don't get that pullback, they're out on the map somewhere. And so there goes the there goes the army. Now there's a reason why I don't go for a Nexus over here, unless I'm going for a full-on transition from the early cannon part. But there's a reason with this playbook you don't get a base right here. You can't defend. You can barely defend this one, right? With the units that I'm having, let alone try to defend this one and this one. It's just very hard to have to just baby those areas. You don't want to baby those areas. So therefore, that's why you go way down here, where if he does come over here, which is he's here so that if there is a Nexus, which there should be, or else I'm definitely gonna win this, because he ain't got no expo and I got 2 bases just starting up. So boom, nope, nothing there. Okay, let's go up the ramp. Let's take out the Cybernetics core. No Stalkers. Right now, let's kill the Nexus. But I have a overcharge, so the overcharge, all I need is time. Time is what I'm needing, and the Tempests are going engaging because I know that his army's over there. So this is the time where I take out his productions, or cause him to float over somewhere else, which delays his tactics and allows my Tempest to go into a different transition. So right here, battery overcharge. And it just takes a long time for it to die. and now I recall. This base is already mined out anyways. This base is practically mined out. Gases are almost mined out. You know, there's really not much to defend. That's why you take off. This is like a mining base. That's all it is. This is the real base. And so as he thinks it's a base trade, right? Now you got this base trade scenario. He's always thought it was a base trade. And because he thought it was a base trade, he thinks he just needs to kill all the base. And during that time, because it's not a base trade, the Tempests are just doing what they really need to do, which is devour the rest of the tech. But by the time he realizes it's no longer a base race, it never has been, then now they're like, oh, he has another base. Shoot, I gotta go take that base out real quick. I've been wasting too much time over here. Oh, damn. Where's the other base? So they go start scouting. So he's like, oh no. He's like, oh no. Come on. Where is it? Oh shoot, it's there. And I'm getting zealots just to kind of like, I got no stalkers. I got no cybernetics. Quite barely came up, so I had to make zealots to sponge damage. I couldn't make any cannons because I didn't have a forge because it got killed. So time was pretty much just all I needed. So then I go straight over to my base to defend it. This part right here was a gamble. For one, they derped. I was gonna go over and do some type of like mineral trick and just get right in the body of the Terran. But for some reason they didn't attack. I must have derped somewhere in that. And then I was gonna leave, but I was like, you know what? That's the only army, and I just need to get over there, and I have the army to counter it. So I'll just make more workers anyways. So it was more of a reading gamble. So now I just chrono boost. And all I gotta do is go find that base.